So I'm about 150 hours into Starfield right now, and I figured it was time to give my official review of the game. And this is only the second time after Baldur's Gate 3 that I've reviewed a game before I've actually finished it. And some of you out there are going to be like, "Oh, I can't trust your review now if you haven't actually finished the game." Well, there's some caveats to this because I've played this game long enough now that I know that my first playthrough is going to be 300 hours, probably minimum, could be more. And I know based on having played Skyrim and Oblivion and other games over the years that this is going to be something I play through 3, 4, 5 times and I get, 250, 300 hours each time I go through the game. At 150 hours in, I've only done 2 of the faction quests, no outpost crafting, no ship building. I've only surveyed 1 planet. It's mostly just been me running around getting to have that fantasy of being, a smuggler slash space trucker slash explorer in a sci-fi game, something I've always wanted to do. And I made a video the other day about how I am Bethesda's target audience, and my review reflects that. This is not a casual, I'm going to play the game for 40 hours, 50 hours, go away, and wait for the sequel to happen. As much as I love like God of War Ragnarok, Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, those types of games provide me with a very linear 40 to 50 hour experience, maybe 60 hours if I go completionist, and that's it. You're done. You might play it through a second time to unlock more cosmetics, but as a general rule, once you've played those games, you've seen everything. This is a lot like, say, Baldur's Gate 3 in the sense that there are a lot of permutations, although not as many permutations as there are with Baldur's Gate 3. But it is the totality of all of the things that Starfield offers which have allowed me to come to this place, which is I'm reviewing the game before I'm finished with it. Because I can't realistically wait until I'm finished to give you guys a review because it's going to be 6 months. I might finish it by the end of the year. Let's just put it that way. I have an objective to finish it by the end of the year, but that's going to be all of September, all of October, all of November, all of December. I'm anticipating a 3 to 4 month journey. I'm 2 months into Baldur's Gate 3. Still haven't finished the game. I'm 100 plus hours. I've probably got another month of gameplay, because I'm balancing that with Starfield and also with Cyberpunk 2077 now with Phantom Liberty dropping. So rather than make everybody wait another 3 months for me to drop my Starfield review, I figured I'd just do it now and get it out of the way. So let's talk. There is some jank. Yep, absolutely some jank. I'm not blind to the jank. I just don't let the jank define my experience. There are little things like clipping through tables, mobs showing up in weird places when you're having conversations. My favorite to this date is still Barrett being downstairs in the middle of combat and me being upstairs trying to talk to an NPC who was talking to me, but also realized that we were in combat, and so he was running around the room trying to find a safe spot while his dialogue was still open in front of me. So I'm getting the dialogue panel, right, which is a static image that's overlaid right there. It's mounted to the screen there, and he's back in the background outside of the field of view, all blurred because he's outside of that FOV, and he's running from like corner to corner behind me to the other corner, and I was just laughing the whole time because I could still progress the storyline and still progress the quest, even though he was bugged out. So there's definitely some jank. By the way, a little bit of a afternoon. Actually, it's not even afternoon. It's probably like 11:30 in the morning. I'm gonna get yelled at. It's 11:45 in the morning. I'm drinking rum. It's all good, man. When you get up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, my 5 o'clock comes early. The only other thing that I would say that I feel like kind of would be a negative against the game would be I'm playing it on the Xbox Series X, and it is frame locked to 30 frames per second. And when I originally started playing the game, I said, oh, it doesn't matter. However, having now gone and played Cyberpunk 2077 in the performance mode that they offer with 60 frames per second, it is night and day when it comes to the combat experiences of a first-person shooter between this game Starfield and say Cyberpunk. I know that Starfield has an amazing first-person shooter experience because I've seen people who are playing mouse and keyboard or controller on PC, and they have, they're getting more frames than 30. Um, I understand why they frame locked it at 30 frames on the Xbox. I still don't think it impacts my enjoyment of the game at all when it comes to the exploration and the questing and everything else. The space exploration, space combat isn't really impacted by it, but the shooter combat, like the actual first person combat, um, and just general gunplay. The gunplay on the Xbox definitely feels that 30 frame lock. It totally does. And honestly, I'm glad that Cyberpunk 2077 came along at the time that it did, because I think even as few days, even as recently as a few days ago, I made a comment about how, the 30 FPS doesn't really bother me on Starfield when it comes to the gunplay. And it's not that it bothers me, but having gone and played it at 60 frames and playing it on like Call of Duty and stuff, I was used to smooth gameplay with guns. But Cyberpunk shows me that a game can not only look good, it can also run good if it's optimized in a way that is, you know, for that art style. Now I realize why they've chosen not to do that with Starfield, because they're spending their engineering in other areas with the procedural generation for planets and all the things that are going on in this game. So I'm not gonna throw my hands up in the air and scream, "Oh, Bethesda needs to burn," because they are locking it at 30 frames. It is a knockoff though, and we'll get to the final review score at the end of the video. Um, I've talked about this before. I look at this as sort of like a fast food experience, and I love fast food as much as I'm like, I like all food. I like gourmet steak. I like good salads. I like good wine. I like good beer. I like fast food. I like street food. I like food. And for me, Starfield is very much a fast food experience when it comes to gaming. And so I'm not looking for groundbreaking, award winning dialogue or cutscenes or anything like that. I feel that the dialogue it's Bethesda. It's fun, it's good enough. The voice acting is good enough. They're not, breaking any boundaries here. They're not going to win any awards for, you know, best voice acting or anything like that. And I don't even know if they're using motion capture or if they're just using old school animation for their character models and the facial rigs for cutscenes or for dialogue sequences and stuff. But it feels okay. It feels like a Bethesda game to me, and I talked about that the other day in my video on I'm the Target Audience. It feels like, for me, it feels like Oblivion in space. Some people say Skyrim, some people say Fallout, but for me, I feel very much like this is like Oblivion in space, so to speak. But with the Skyrim powers in the sense of the relics and things of that nature. Um, the generic side quests can get a little boring from time to time, but I actually don't mind that, because I was saying this about a week ago. This is the only game I have right now that's installed on any of my rigs that I jump in and play at will outside of streaming just to play the game, because, and one of the reasons I've got 150 hours plus into the game now without having really progressed the main storyline or beaten the game yet, is because I think like 85% of what I've done to this point has just been going to like mission boards and like getting missions and going to do them, or like going and doing activities that I find on the various planets and just going through and doing activity after activity after activity after activity after activity, and then exploring the planets. Oh, only 10% of them are populated. Who cares? Like that's realistic. Like, it's not like every planet in our solar system is populated. Like, come on now. Like, I like the fact that only some of them have humans on them and the rest have like aliens and weird animal life and everything else. I like the space combat a lot. I love the space VATS, like being able to go in with target lock if you've chosen to spec that way, and have the additional target lock. I love the ship modifications. I haven't built my own ship yet. I'm still using the shield breaker with the auto turrets because, oh my god, they rock, and it's got plenty of storage space for me. I haven't unlocked all the companions yet. I've done the Crimson Fleet storyline with the Sistef where you are the mole, and because I got caught with contraband and I had to do it or go to jail. That was a great storyline. I finished up the Freestar Rangers the other day and got my free ship out of that. And I'm currently working my way down the Constellation storylines a little bit. I'm up to the point where I got Andreja, and I'm going to keep going until I get my first power because I know that those exist because people spoil things and there's no way to avoid it when you live online like I do. So I'm still progressing the Constellation storyline. Quick commercial break, everyone, to give a shout out to our first official guild officer, Bubalonia, as well as all of the guild champions, and of course, all of the members who help keep me on the air full time. To join as a member, simply click that join button below and pick your tier, but you can also support with super chats on any live stream or premiere, or super thanks on any upload or YouTube short. Don't forget the Discord. Let's get back to the video. I love the cutscenes that are animation sequences for like my ship traversing between these areas, the landing and takeoff. I'm not one of those people who needed to have physical landing and physical takeoff. I hated that in Elite Dangerous. I really like the automated stuff. Everspace 2 is great in that regards. Um, so I'm happy with all that. I don't care about loading screens. It doesn't bother me at all. I like the fact that my screenshots show up as loading screens. Um, I love the sitting in my cockpit, opening up the scanner mode, and like seeing all the things that I can choose from on my HUD, where I can go over there if I want to, or follow the quest over here, go mine some asteroids, or just drop down on the planet. I've been having a lot of fun going to the planets and just taking out pirate bosses. Like the side missions to me, like the mission boards, have been the greatest source of enjoyment for me because it's a great way for me to just hop on for an hour or two and just go, kill space bandits and blow things out of the sky or out of the stars, I should say, and just relax. It's the first game I've played in years where I log in just to relax. I just log in to play for an hour or two without streaming, without recording content. I'm just there to indulge myself in this spacefaring fantasy that I have, and that's something that I feel like Starfield has provided me with. It has provided me with a sci-fi RPG that is open world enough that I truly feel like I can go anywhere and do anything and I can explore. And like I said, I haven't even gotten into outpost building yet. I'm just now like getting past the beginner stages of crafting, and I'm loving how involved the crafting system is. I love the skill progression and how you have to work your way up. Like, oh, you want to pilot that ship over there? Well, first you got to pilot this ship and rank up to get to be able to get the license for that ship. I love all of that. It's like, oh, you want to put that scope on your weapon? Well, you need weapon modifications rank 2, so you got to rank up 1, go to rank 2, and then also you need these skills at skill 3, da 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 da. I love how all of that ties in together. And overall, I did a video a month ago on comparing Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield and which one would get Game of the Year, or maybe they would both get Game of the Year. It's still scratching it's scratching all of the itches that I needed to scratch, but it's not going to win Game of the Year for me, only because of the couple of things I've mentioned. I think or I should say, it's not going to get equal ranking because I always said that it was going to get equal ranking with Baldur's Gate 3. It would never take the place of Baldur's Gate 3 because Baldur's Gate 3 for me is easily Game of the Year, possibly Game of the Decade. I feel that Starfield is a contender, but it does have a lot of jank. I've never crashed Baldur's Gate 3 at all, and I'm running a 7-year-old laptop. Xbox Series X, I've had three. I've had 3 crashes where I've had to restart the client. And I think that's it. The only 3, I haven't really had anything else other than the jank I talked about at the beginning, where I see things falling through the world and some clipping here and there and strange, weird things happening with NPCs. But the FPS lock and noticing it during gunplay on the Xbox, and the little bit of jank and the sort of fast food nature of this game, which does not take away from my enjoyment of it at all. is what keeps this game from being a 10 out of 10 for me. I'm still holding firm on an 8.5 to 9, somewhere in that ballpark. It's a very, very good game. I've loved every minute I've played of this game. Um, but it is not as flawless of an experience as Baldur's Gate 3 is. And don't get me wrong, Baldur's Gate 3 has its own jank and its own issues, but it has enough positives to outweigh the negatives and still maintain a 10 out of 10. Whereas I can't quite give Starfield a 10 out of 10, but I'm happy to give it an 8.5 or 9 out of 10. And the most important thing here is that I'm having fun. And I will absolutely be playing this game for years and years to come. Big thing for me is already looking at it and knowing that I'm already 150 hours in. I'm going to at least double that before I finish the game. I love the fact that I can get 300 hours out of a game these days because that didn't used to be the case. It used to be, if you were going to play a game, you might get 40, 50 hours, out of something, maybe get 80 hours out of something. But I love how Larian and Bethesda and these other companies are coming out with experiences that last 2 to 300 hours minimum or beyond, depending on how deep you want to go into the rabbit hole of exploring all the planets and building outposts and setting up your own empire in space. And then there's the new game plus mode as well to get into if you want to get into that as well. So, um, I love Starfield. I got nothing bad to really say about it other than the couple of things I mentioned that are not really negatives as so much as they are as just things that take away from it being an otherwise 10 out of 10 experience for me. I wish nothing but the best of success to Bethesda. I can't wait to see Elder Scrolls 6, and I'm going to be playing this for a long time. So hopefully you enjoy all the videos I've been producing. I'll have more guides and clips and streams from Starfield throughout the rest of 2023 at the very least, and then we'll see how far we get into the new year as well. If all that sounds good to you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Let me know your thoughts on the game in the comments below, where it ranks for you. Join the Discord if you want. We have a gaming community there. We also do a bunch of member videos for those of you who are members. Support if you can. Until next time, everybody, stay safe. Happy gaming.